All right, I'd like to call the February 28th, 2024 meeting of the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that you remain standing for a moment of silent reflection and prayer for our military servicemen and women serving around the world, as well as for our first responders. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's meeting. Did I imagine that flicker, or did that actually happen?
I saw it.
It was a flicker.
Okay.
Boy.
Tonight, we will start with the approval of the minutes, Resolution 101.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, I'd like to open it up for privilege of the floor. If there's anyone that would like to address the board at this time. Seeing none, I will close privilege of the floor. There are no reports and remittances or correspondences, so we will move to reports. Thank you. Oh, good, you grabbed the right one. Jeez. I'd start with the fact that, I joined Councilman Hinman and Councilman Baker, as well as our Finance Director, Sherry Foley, in New York City for a couple of days at the Association of Towns Conference. I've got a pretty significant packet that I'm working on to deliver to everybody on all the topics that were discussed. Some of the ones, just quickly, that I think were really, really very helpful was an entire class on policies and procedures. We've got some good work to do. Some of it related to finance, IT, just the way that we keep certain records, and already had a meeting this week, 2 different meetings to start that conversation, and excited to bring that to the board for some review. Some things that are required to be updated, and some things that I'd like to propose that we at least take a look at. So that should be good. Attended a press conference with a number of you at the Ogden Highway building with Assemblyman Jensen and other state officials on CHIP funding. Obviously want to thank the highway superintendent for the ability to hold that press conference there, not just for the town, but for all of the towns that were represented there, all of the people that came in support of really asking the governor to refund the $60 million being cut out of this year's proposed budget. And not just that, but maybe fund it enough to actually do, what we need to do. So thank you, Dan, and appreciate that took place here in town. We had a Monroe County School Board Association, Monroe County Supervisors Association lunch meeting, and we had a good talk about the solar eclipse as one of the items. Several towns talking about how they're closing parks and putting up parking restrictions. This is something that we entertained here, not closing parks, that was never part of it, but whether we wanted to add a restriction for parking. And in the end, I think that the police department has what they need if there should be an emergency. Had a good conversation this week, not just with the police department, but fire department, highway superintendent, school district, all the stakeholders, just to get on the same page ahead of that. And I think there's a great plan. And some of it's going to be last minute, but everybody has pledged a lot of support. Really appreciate that. Speaking of that same meeting, we did a tabletop exercise with the emergency preparedness group, and I kind of wish he wasn't here because I don't want to just blow smoke, but I was so impressed by this exercise. I was impressed by not just the setup. There was a feedback form. There was, real life situation. In fact, the one thing we tackled was, weirdly, a windstorm. And man, by the end of it, there was a mention of, wow, we didn't get to very much. And one of the reasons that I appreciate that is there was a lot to get to just to set up, just like who is responsible for what. Should we be thinking about purchasing cots? What about food? I mean, there was just so many things that relate to every emergency situation that this group has not talked about in decades. And so, especially thanks to Todd and his area of expertise, just asking the right questions that spur these conversations. And clearly we have to have more. But I will say, even after that one, we are for sure more prepared to tackle a situation than we were. And certainly we got some work to do. But it was eye-opening and great, and appreciate being able to work with all these stakeholders there. I did meet with Rich from BOCES today with an IT update, couple of things, and Mr. Toms, please refrain from asking detailed questions that I can't explain. But all of the physical servers are installed and online. They're working on all individual virtual servers. There are 11 of them. These would be things for like the file server, print server, KBS, et cetera. And they've done a disk-to-disk backup to tape something. So, does that seem okay?
Tape, yeah, tape
Okay,
backup's fine.
awesome. So those happened.
Vernacular.
We'll go with that.
I didn't say CD, I just said disk, right? So they're saying that they didn't really want to give a firm timeline. They said by the end of 2024, we should have that. Still a couple potential intermittent downtimes for them to, to make some things happen. But we're in a good spot. We had a really good conversation about IT emergency support, because that's happened a couple of times over the last couple of months, and the process for that. We had a great conversation about asset lists. That's actually could potentially end up being a policy. We do a pretty good job with our vehicles because we have to for insurance. We do a pretty good job with laptops and cell phones, but there's a lot of other things that we could work on for asset management. Speaking of laptop replacement, if you remember last year, we started the process of having a 4-year replacement plan, so we talked through that a little bit today. Okay. Actually had a great meeting at the Ogden Senior Center, again, mostly to talk about the plans for the solar eclipse, but that was something that was important to them, and whether we're going to keep the Senior Center open that day, which we are working on. Another thing from AOT that came up that this board has talked about, and I think it's worthy of us having a conversation of, is, currently we do not have any other policy in our procurement or code other than accepting the lowest bid. And there is quite a conversation on best value versus lowest bid. And, I'd love to learn more about that. I want to make sure that we're not being so objective that we can just pick whatever. But there is merit to being able to disqualify a bidder for cause. And currently we don't have that. And I think it's worthy of us having a conversation. So, Mr. Shum, that would be you. I have to make one last plea from Christian. We did, weirdly, just this past week, get the accepted grant for the EV charging stations that finally came through. I have heard your response and just want to double check that we are not moving forward with that. No one's voting, but does anyone object to us continuing to not move forward with that conversation? And I appreciate, a couple of the comments where we don't have a EV fleet policy or plan, and so maybe that's just complicating the situation for now. So, great. Okay, that's it for me. Councilman Baker.
Thank you. Again, I attended the Association of Towns meeting along with the supervisor and with Councilman Hinman. It was very educational. I know that we, as council members, don't need to put together a report, but we did bring back some PowerPoint presentations and things, and I'm going to be putting that together and sending that to everybody. But it was good to talk with other fellow board members from other towns across the state, and, to discover that the issues that we have here aren't, unique. I mean, they're shared throughout municipalities across the state, and I think we're all kind of in the same boat when it comes to just trying to deal with policies and things of the state and what the state government puts upon local municipalities. So it was good to hear that we're not alone in our fight. The other day, I was walking my dog and saw Ariel Ambrose in the ACO van making her rounds. I was around Village Walk area, and so I had a really nice conversation with her, got a chance to talk to her about the job and what she thinks of it so far, and she's loving it. She is having a really good time trying to implement some new things, especially with the social media and the Pet of the Month, and so she's pretty proud of that, and I told her she's doing a really great job, so she was happy to hear that. I did have a chance to speak today with Aaron Megalo from the court. It was an unrelated thing. It was actually something that I was doing in my capacity in another municipality, and I had to give her a call, and I said, hey, while I got you on the phone, let me put my other hat on and let me talk to you, and she said everything's going well over there, and she seemed to think that maybe we could get Judge Moranti to stick around for another 15 years if his wife will let him. So. But it was good. We had a really good talk, and it was good to talk to her and connect with her. So that was it.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Councilman Hinman. I'm sorry, Councilman Gerbino. I did not mean to skip you.
That's okay. Nothing to report. Okay.
Hope that wasn't because of me. All right, Councilman Hinman.
I just want to reiterate the sentiments that both Supervisor Zale and Councilman Baker said, that this trip was really good as far as, the classes were good and good information, obviously, but I really appreciated meeting and kind of having conversations with like-minded people in the other towns and stuff, just reminiscing with them and throwing off ideas and, seeing how they kind of relate to what we're doing. And that was a good experience for me. And just getting to know the players in our surrounding towns was a good experience, and just so we could have more camaraderie with our surrounding towns and things was a good thing. So, and you guys said everything already. So, other than that, that's it for me.
Very good. Councilman Toms?
No report.
Highway Superintendent Dan Wolf.
Couple things. We ordered our 35-ton trailer. Imagine that, we ordered it last Monday and it was here yesterday. So it's surprising. We got a build date on our two 10-wheelers, two 6-wheelers is 4/3, 4/12, 4/23, and 5/17. So they'll be here and they're ready to go to Henderson right after that to have the bodies put on. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you.
Salt barn's almost empty?
Yes, it is.
Town Clerk Noel Burley.
Still collecting taxes. We got a deadline tomorrow for the second installment, and we've been busy with passports.
Very good. Town Attorney Dan Schaum.
Last couple of weeks, had some conversations about Ogden Heights and the HOA matter, which I'll review a little bit greater detail, but I think a lot of misinformation has been given to the homeowners in terms of the town's position concerning dissolution of the association. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. The planning board attorney indicates that rightly so, that it's a requirement of the approval of that project that they have one to maintain the common elements. So there'll be a further discussion about that, I'm sure. The resolution tonight to name the board as the lead agency for seeker review for the comprehensive plan was important to do. The next step in that process is for the project, the company that's assisting the town in that, to furnish a draft of the part one for the long-form EAF so the board can act upon it, because of course you can't adopt the plan until you've taken care of seeker. I was somewhat surprised if there was some communication during the last couple of weeks about accidents and the reporting of accidents and incidents even. And it took me as a sort of a aside because I understand it would be a good thing to have a policy. But at the same time, I guess if somebody fell on the sidewalk out front, I would like to think that somebody would make a report of that. If somebody was in a town vehicle and was in a collision, it would seem to be logical that there should be a report of that. And all of those reports go to the town clerk and the supervisor. But I was surprised that there were, I guess, at least one incident, if not more, that haven't been reported, which really,
Is that the one are you referring to Buffalo?
I don't
Total
know, honestly. I just saw bits and pieces on some emails back and forth about an accident that the town was getting notice about that happened a number of years ago, I guess. I don't know. But in any event, I know that there should be a policy for accident and incident reporting that's uniform so that everybody's aware of it. I can't imagine that you shouldn't be aware of it, but I guess at the same time, if it's, make a policy of it, then it would be best. The supervisor mentioned best practices, and that's been the law for some years. It's a great vehicle. It's not intended to get rid of, if you will, the lowest responsible bidder, but rather to identify the overall scope of the bidding process and what's in the best interest of the town. And it does provide for some flexibility in accepting what might not necessarily be the lowest responsible bid, but it might be the best responsible bid. And I have a draft of that I think I sent to the supervisor a couple weeks ago. And lastly, just a day or two ago, I got a request for some resolutions, which I prepared and sent to the town board, or to the supervisor's office, for reimbursement for the Buffalo snowstorm of '22. Fairly significant amount of money. And there's two separate reimbursement programs, and they're both in the $80,000 range
Yes.
apiece. So I would presume that board's gonna adopt those resolutions, authorizing the supervisor to sign them at the next meeting so he can get them in and get the money back in the town coffers. That's it.
Did you see those?
I haven't seen those.
No?
I don't know what, I apologize, but yeah, I don't know
Oh, no,
about that, and I haven't seen it.
I did them the same day. I'll get it.
No big deal. I mean, if the plan was to
No,
get
no.
it for next time, that's fine, but
I-
I haven't heard about that or seen.
And obviously, I'm surprised. And here they are. I have them right there.
Listen, what a great mistake to realize that there's money coming.
that's
That'd
right.
be on the
It's only
positive
going to the
side.
highway department.
Well, we'll see. No, I was just kidding.
We're the ones who paid it out.
Are you all set then?
Yep,
Very
that's
good.
it.
All right, there being no other unfinished business, we will move to new business. Madam Clerk.
Resolution 102, authorizing the town of Lyman to declare itself lead agency pursuant to the provisions of SECRO with respect to the review of the environmental effects, if any, of the adoption of the 2024 comprehensive plan on the environment.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 103, authorizing the acceptance of donations for the printing and production of the town of Ogden's 2024 solar eclipse map.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 104, the negative declaration of environmental significance for local law number 1 of 2024. A local law of the town of Ogden proposing to provide for expanded real property tax exemptions available to volunteer firefighters and EMS personnel.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 105, authorizing the enactment of local law number 1 of 2024.
I'll move that.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on this item?
We'll wait till we vote. Should we wait till we vote, or?
Go ahead.
I will abstain from this vote as a volunteer firefighter for the Spencerport Fire District and Spencerport Volunteer Firemen's Association. This local law would, in every sense, allow me to participate in this. So barring any impropriety that could be brought against me, I will abstain from this vote.
Very good. Madam Clerk, would it be proper to do a roll call vote or just ask?
I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. I think if he's the only one abstaining, you can just do all the above.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
We have one abstention. Okay, thank you. I got it.
Item carries. Next item. when you are-
Resolution 106, negative declaration of environmental significance for local law number 2 of 2024, a local law of the town of Ogden proposing to provide for increased real property tax exemptions available to veterans.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 107, authorizing the enactment of local law number 2 of 2024.
So moved?
Second?
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion on this?
I am not a veteran, so I will be voting in the affirmative for this.
Well, then, in that case, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. I will make a motion that we adjourn to work session.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned to work session.